Hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, Benson.
Hi, Emily.
How's it going?
It's going great. It's going so good. Thanks for having me. Welcome everybody who's out there in internet land. Face, well, where are we at? YouTube, Facebook. Where are we streaming to?
Yeah, Jamil's YouTube and all his Facebook pages, the Astro Flipping Facebook page, all the good stuff. Wholesale Hotline Facebook page. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So we're gonna have a good group tonight. Um, well, you guys, thank you so much. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing some live deal finding tonight and kind of walking through the process of some things that you guys can implement into your business. Whether you are a current Privy user or you're not, there are some things that I guarantee you'll be able to implement into what we're going to be doing tonight. But we will be using the Privy investment software to kind of demonstrate some of those things that you can be doing. So we're going to show you guys how to find your target market. We're going to talk to you guys about how to, why some markets are better than others. We're going to talk to you guys about investment activity and why that's important, and then what you can learn from investment activity. A lot of coaches and mentors and educators, they're so focused on strategy that it's hard to learn real estate. And unfortunately, Jamil and Astro is not that way. They're really focused on the basics, like making sure you understand how to like comp properties out. Like they've got a whole day that's dedicated to comping properties, right? Like that's like as basic as it gets, right, Emily?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so that's just evidence that the Astro is all about making sure that you guys have a solid foundation before teaching you certain things that are advanced that you maybe wouldn't necessarily understand because the foundation is the core of it all, right? So we'll be talking about that comping as well, and then we'll show you guys how to build your buyers list, how to find investor friendly real estate agents so you can do some agent outreach, and then also we'll talk to you about how you can start finding some deals, whether they're off market deals or on market deals. We'll show you some different strategies there as well.
Yes, AG, we will do Q&A too. So if you guys throw your Qs in the chat, I'll star them and make sure that we come back to them so we don't miss anybody. Um, One thing that we were really talking about today is acquisition versus disposition, which, like, because some people are really great at disposition and some people are really great at acquisition, right? So if you're not really sure on what those are, if you're a new investor, acquisition is more lead generation, right? Gathering leads, calling agents, putting in offers, bringing deals to the table. And then disposition is more JVing with the acquisition wholesaler and then selling those deals to buyers. So focusing on buyer outreach and building your buyers list and building strong relationships with your buyers. And the cool thing is, and we're going to get into this and show you guys both of these, is that you can do both of them on Privy, which is really great because it's like a one-stop shop.
Yep.
Benson, you're an investor yourself. Are you more focused on acquisition or disposition?
Well,
Back
I
in
do both because I don't have a team, and so I really have to wear all those different hats. It just depends on like what stage of the process that particular property is in. So if I'm
right?
finding properties, I'm acquisitioning, and then if I'm on the back end, I've got a deal that I'm dispositioning, right? I just made up two words potentially there.
Oh,
But I actually just closed a deal a couple days ago, and it was a deal
oh,
I got right
really?
off of Privy. So I'll show you guys that deal tonight,
Heck
so you can
yeah.
see it. It was when I found it, doing the exact same process I'm going to show you guys tonight.
Heck yeah. Let's get into it. I want to hear about that deal.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys, let us know in the chat. Do you focus more on acquisition, disposition, or are a lot of you doing both? I'm curious. I want to know. I'll put.
Yeah, you know, it's it's interesting too because a lot of the disposition is like relationship based, and it's more like maintaining, like solid relationships with buyers over time. And acquisition is just like hustle. You're dialing for dollars and you're taking action, and it's more of like a sales position.
Yeah.
um, and so that's why you often see like certain people like do different things, right? So like John Galan and Mahmood, like they've segmented it out where John does the acquisition and Mahmood does the disposition because their personalities fit into those two different roles, right? They could have done it differently, but that's how they figured it out. And it kind of makes sense when you think about the kind of people they are, right? Like John's really kind of like, he's a strong personality, and he's kind of the sales guy, and he's got the gift of gab, and so he's doing the acquisition, and then and they're actually they're growing too. They're starting to hire people to help with this, but Mahmoud is more cerebral, and he's kind
Right.
of like the numbers guy, and he's just like real slow, collected, deliberate, right? Like that's kind of like what works well on the disposition side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We got a lot of both in the chat. So this will be great for you guys tonight, um, to see where you can perform both of these if you haven't been introduced to Privy yet.
Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Perfect. So you guys, this is the Pervy platform. If you're not familiar with it, this is the coverage map. This kind of just helps you understand where the data is coming from. We're the only platform out there that goes and gets direct to MLS data contracts on scale. So we got some great competitors out there, but what you'll find with some of those platforms is that when you start to look at comps and you're looking at running analysis on properties, you're going to be using this what's called third party listing data, and that's the only way you can get going and basically operate nationwide with one relationship, right? It's they buy it from aggregators, and we do too. And we share a lot of the same data sets, but we realize that data is limited. So what we've gone is we've negotiated direct to MLS data contracts so that you can use the same data that agents and appraisers use. Now, it's not their same MLS. Like the MLS is basically set up for agents to be able to list properties and pull lists so they can find properties for their people who are buying homes, and then that's also where they put properties after they're sold so that we have comps in our business, right? So it's not the same as that, but we get the raw data. So it comes in our system raw, and then we make it actionable and we curate it and we make it useful for real estate investing, including wholesale. So wherever you see the blue on the map right here here's like a legend, is where we have those direct to MLS. And there's currently over 90 markets, Emily, over 90. So we're approaching 100 markets with direct to MLS.
Wow, that is so amazing. You guys are scaling and growing fast.
We are. We really are. And so we have to make sure that we're giving the best data that's available. These red ones or the pink ones you see is the coming soon markets. So some of the ones that we've launched most recently are like Boston, Houston, Myrtle Beach, San Antonio, Fort Myers, Western Michigan, which is like Grand Rapids, and Lansing. And we got a bunch more. I think one of the ones that's going to launch soonest is Detroit, which is coming soon. That's
Nice.
one of the ones that's coming. And really, people are really excited about that. I'm excited about that market too because there's a lot of investment activity there. And so those are the areas that you should consider targeting, you guys, because there's kind of like a tier of needs when you're trying to choose a market. But unfortunately, what most investors do is they look for deals where they live, right? Because it's your own backyard, and it seems logical that it would be easier for you to find deals where you live when the reality is that it's not. Being able to look at a house with your own two eyes might give you some comfort. You're like, okay, that's a house, right? But really, until you look at the numbers and the data, you don't know if it's a deal or not. And so that's why, a lot of people, especially in this community, are doing stuff virtually because probably most of us don't live in a good area to be searching for deals. And even if it was like an okay market, why wouldn't you rather be in the best market or some of the best markets? Because you're probably not doing this full time and you have so little time to spend on your business. Why spend like the 3 or 4 hours a week or whatever it is that you have in your business and get lackluster results when you can be like, well, let's just choose one of the better markets, and then you can get a much better return on that time investment. So you have a choice, right? You literally have the ability to gauge like what your level of success can be by which market you choose. Okay. So Near the top, if I click this button that says fix and flip, what that does is that plots on the map where all the fix and flips that have happened in the last 12 months. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should be doing fix and flip. We're mostly wholesalers here, right? But you, to be able to get the data that you need to be able to prove ARV, or after repair value, you have to compare your house that you're evaluating, which is going to be unrenovated, to a renovated house. And that's how you say, okay, well, mine's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch that's 1,000 square feet. I have to compare that to a renovated 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot ranch to figure out what mine's going to be worth once it's been fixed up. And so that's the comping process. That's what they do on what is it, Sundays,
Yep.
Emily?
Yep. Sundays for straight out of comping.
Straight out
We
of comping.
we recently switched to every other Sunday, guys. So if you noticed, we were every Sunday, every other Sunday.
Right. So when you're comping, the whole point of comping in the wholesale thing is not to figure out what it's worth as is. It's to be, well, what is it going to be worth after it's fixed up?
Hmm.
And when you do that, you're like, okay, if the ARV is 200,000 and I can get it for 100,000, well, that means I can buy it at 50% of that. That's 50% of the ARV. And so that's where we find deals, right? That's how we can find deals, is if there's a margin there. The next step then is to really understand what your buyers want. And you can ask your buyers what they want, and they'll tell you, well, we buy in these certain areas. We want a certain number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and we wanted to get it at a 60% of the ARV. Well, at that point, you kind of like what to look for. But you can also learn that by looking at the data. So when I look at these areas on the map, this is how I'm going to choose my market. And then once I find that market, I can study what the buyers are doing to figure out what the buying criteria is for that area, because a deal in Milwaukee is not the same thing as a deal in Phoenix or Dallas or Philadelphia. It's different everywhere. And even if I saw somebody earlier was saying, the 70% MAO formula is now 65%, you guys shouldn't be using that if you know what your buyers want. Because if a buyer tells you, oh, I need stuff at 40%, well, the formula is useless at that point,
Yep.
right? So ask your buyers what they want, and then also look at the data. So let's look at a couple markets here. So some of the markets you might consider to be your target market is wherever you see the large circles with the high numbers. So Denver is actually coming back a little bit, 1,300. Chicago is always really strong, 3,400 deals plus. I mentioned Milwaukee, that's close to 1,800 deals. Cleveland is over 1,600.
Wow.
You're in Indianapolis, so that's 1,720. So that's a good like middle market.
Yep.
St. Louis is where I'm at. I chose this market because of the high investor activity. So that's over 1,700. Philadelphia, look at that number, 4,600 plus. Baltimore is
Wow.
a good market as well. I scroll down here, Nashville, that's high investor activity. Charlotte is doing really well. Raleigh, Durham, Atlanta. When you're in the Florida market, there's lots of activity down here, but the market that's going to give you the highest yield is going to be the greater Tampa area. So Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, right in here. So you literally have like a heat map, you guys. So you don't have to be like some super, you know, experienced investor to figure out where to go. You just look for big blue blobs. It's the big blue blob strategy, right? It's very like non-technical. Um, I can do it. That means you guys can do it, right? Um, Privy also performs really well in areas that are non-disclosure states when we have direct to MLS. So like Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston's brand new, San Antonio, Austin, because Dallas is what's called a non-disclosure state. That means they don't publish the sold data of a property, so you can't do comping there with either third party or even a lot of times like websites like Zillow or Redfin. But because we have that direct, you literally are seeing the actual sold prices, and it's got really rich photos and a lot of the things that you need to be able to analyze deals. So let's zoom in and let's look at the Dallas market for a minute. I want you to see here, like what it looks like. So as we get into the Dallas market, you can see that there's, even within Dallas, there's certain areas that just don't have as much activity than others. So like you wouldn't want to come up here and drive for dollars in West Dallas, right? There's a 5 there. So what you'd want to do is be very intentional. So drive down here to Cedar Crest to drive for dollars, or to pull lists, or to use Pervy to search for deals. Or if you're working with an agent and they're pulling deals for you, this is where you're going to tell them you want to be. That way, if you find a property that looks like a deal, you can use this sold data here to be able to prove to your buyers what the real value of that property is. ARV is something very specific. It's not just what another house in the neighborhood sold for, it's what a renovated house sold for. And so these are all houses that have had 2 sales on them. So if we look at one here as an example, so just closed a couple days ago, you can see here one of the benefits of the direct to MLS is you get these rich photos, which you don't get in other platforms and third-party areas. And so you can see here that this is the renovation they did. So real basic, right? This is like
Super basic, yeah.
Formica countertops, linoleum, like everything's off the shelf. You're probably, I mean, this is what I call a Home Depot special.
It always kills me when they keep that steel sink, man.
Oh, I know. It's super basic. I mean, that sink's probably like $12
I know,
in
right?
one of those like overrun
But I mean,
bins.
if that's all they had to do for the neighborhood, I get it.
Exactly. Like you don't want to overbuild, right? Because you'll leave money on the table. If you do what you see on triple digit flip, you're going to lose money in this neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? So that's another thing to learn is like, where's the bar been set? Um, and so here are the photos. You can see that this one came, it was actually sold on MLS. So this blue badge right here is what we do to really just like say, you guys, this is from MLS, right? So it's going to be the most accurate, up-to-date information. In most markets where we've got direct MLS, we can tell you who the agent is and what the brokerage is. So if you wanted to like do like a quick Google search, you could Google Dan Williams and you could find his information and reach out to him and do your agent outreach. Down below that, we've got like the property details, school information, and then comping again it's a challenge, right? And for many people, it's just like it's one of those things you learn by practicing, but it's also really more of an art than it is a science. And you start to fill it out, and pretty soon it becomes intuitive. But we have a comping algorithm, so as you're figuring that out, we basically eliminate all of the properties that just don't make any sense based off the information. So this is new. Have you seen this before, the comp adjuster, Emily?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah, so this is new. So we launched this where before we had to do is like it was like our comps, they were either on or they were off. And so then you could go in there and you could still find properties that you could use, but now we give you the ability to kind of like
Wow.
slowly adjust them. So you can turn this off and you can adjust the delta, which is like the tolerance on the square feet. We start off with a 15%.
Wow.
The delta for the lot size, you put your own year built tolerances in there. I know Jamil does a 10-year thing, right,
Yep.
Emily?
Yep.
In a shifting market, where maybe you could use comps 6 months ago, now you're like wanting to see like the most recent comps. So you can, put a date in here for like you don't want, comps older than a certain date. You can, match up bedrooms and bathrooms more accurately. You can match up whether or not, like, if your house doesn't have a basement, maybe you only want to look at houses that also don't have basements. You can adjust the comp radius. You really would prefer to stay within half a mile, but if you're in like downtown Philadelphia, like you might want to do a quarter mile. And then if you're in like a rural area, you might want to be 4 miles, right? So you can adjust that and it will adjust live here. So that's a newer feature that we have in Privy too.
And isn't that box that it pops up automatically? How far is that distance again?
It's a half a mile. So it's a half a mile from the middle, which is where we have the subject property. It's inverted, so it's sold, but we put it in white. And then that's right here, so 0.5 miles.
Nice.
And again, you can adjust that. And then below that is the same data just in a table format. And then below that is the actual flipped property itself. So this here must have been acquired off market because it shows the street view. So I don't know how they figured Google figured out where this is at, but that's the street view that Google pushed in based off the address. And then here's the after. If it was acquired on market, we'll tell you it was, and we'll show you the before pictures. But look at this. They got it for 69 grand. They sold it for 225. So they got it at 31% of the after repair value. That's a really good deal.
That is.
This number right here with the plus, that's the gross margin. So that's like the gross profit that they got. That's not what they put in their pocket. So like if you wanted to estimate how much money they put in their pocket, you could maybe estimate construction costs. Like maybe you multiply 1,299 square feet times $40 a square foot, and then you can subtract out that from here. And then you might subtract out 6% for realtor fees and maybe 5% for other miscellaneous costs, and then that is probably close to what their net profit would be. And that isn't always necessary in this research, but it's a good exercise just to kind of understand like how to calculate costs.
Yeah. Benson, going back to the comping map, Nelson
Mhm.
asked, what does the blue investor comps represent? That represents like other fix and flips in the area, right?
Um, Not necessarily. It can. It can be in other fix and flips, but it's not always. So that actually, there's not investor comps on the map right now because we're not looking for deals yet. This is like a sole property. So remind me, Emily, when we get to actually searching for deals, I'll explain what investor comps are in more detail. Okay.
Okay.
At that point, I'll have investor comps and it'll be easier to explain. So really good question though. Um, and then down here, so we got some timelines. So you can see like how long does a Home Depot special take? Well, right around 3 months to do the whole construction process. And then it was 50 days on market. So that's when they were trying to sell it. And so it was 144 days from when the flipper bought it to when they put the check in the bank. Down below that, we got a bunch of different things here. So if this was actually in foreclosure, right, last year, that's where they acquired it out of a trustee's deed. The assessor's records here show you information about the property itself. So like here's the current owner. We'll show you if there's a mortgage on it, and then we also show you the property history. So the Stokeleys are the ones that flipped this property. So they bought it here, and then they flipped it, and then as soon as the county records that at the county, I'm sorry, as the title company records it at the county, then there'll be another transaction that's going to pop up here, and the Stokeleys will be the sellers, and they're going to sell it to somebody else who bought it to live in it. So that history can be very, very helpful. But what I tell people to do is once you choose a market, and actually you can even do this as part of choosing your market, is go in and look at like the last 10 to 20 properties that were flipped and study that information, because that's what teaches you what a deal is. You start to see what people are buying properties for, what they're selling them for, what percentage of ARV they're buying at. This one was actually an MLS deal. I don't know why this photo isn't showing. If I don't know if they pulled them or what, but they got it at 43% of the ARV, and that was an on-market deal. And then you can look at the property history, and you can see that this was Metroplex Casas LLC. So when you're building your buyers list, right, which is the disposition side of the business, you actually want to do it backward. And some people call this reverse wholesaling, and I don't know how Jamil describes this, Emily, but I believe that before you really start writing offers, you should have some buyers that you've already talked to and that you've begin to build your buyers list. You don't have to be finished with it, and I don't think you ever stop building your buyers list, because the markets are always changing, and buyers are some of them are sitting on the sideline even right now because of the uncertainty in the market. But does Jamil say that you should have some buyers in place before you start writing offers?
Yes, you should definitely have either buyers in place or a disposition partner in place. Yes, you definitely want one of the two.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. So you just want to be able, you don't want to get stuck with a contract. essentially.
Exactly. Because then that's unethical because, you're making offers and you really don't have anything backing you. But if you have those partners or those buyers that you're partnered with, then you do have that money backing you.
Right. And I've actually, I remember when I first came to St. Louis, I had an okay buyers list, but when I found there was a deal I found that was really good, and the buyers that I had, they were all like in the middle of projects.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I'm not going to cancel this contract. So I closed on it. I ended up
You
closing on it.
personally did?
Yeah, because I knew it was a good deal. I just didn't have the buyers lined up ready to go. And I also didn't do disposition partners. So I
Wow.
ended up selling it, but I had to double close it.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. And there's different strategies there that in actually doing double closes. Sometimes you can, prevent the end buyer from knowing like how much money you're really making, because in a wholesale deal, like they know what your assignment fee is going to be. Like it's part of the assignment.
Yeah, like they see
So
the HUD too, right?
they see it. Yeah. So if it's a really big amount, sometimes they're like, well, if it's over a certain amount, you should. And I think Pace has something like that, where it's like if it's over a certain amount, you should double close, because otherwise they're going to be mad that you're making so much money.
Wait, so if you do a double close, can't they like just look on like the MLS or like on Privy and like see the history of it? Does it show what it closed at and then like what it closed at again?
It does, but at that point, you're the owner. You're not just some
That's
person
true.
who's like just inserting themselves in the middle, right? But if you actually go and you close and you do it like yourself, like it's more legitimate and it's easier for you to convince someone else that like you should make that much money.
Mhm.
On a wholesale deal, you'll have buyers that just don't want you to make that much money. So they'll beat you up on your assignment fee, or they'll come up with reasons why the ARV isn't what you say it is. And they'll say that the house needs way more work than it really needs, because they're trying to like, without coming out and saying you shouldn't make that much money, they're trying to get you to earn less by chipping at you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just part of the game. But when you own the property and then you go and you're just selling it on the open market, like at that point, the price is the price, right? And you're not up to the whims of some buyer who has an ego, who doesn't want some little wholesaler to make a bunch of money,
Yeah.
right? So, but you're right, they do see it. They're going to do their research.
Side note, where was it? I forget who. Oh, AG asked Benson, how many offers a day do you make? I'm curious too.
Oh, right now it's probably just a couple a week, honestly. I've got my hands full with
Yeah.
the privy thing. So I don't have a whole lot of time to write offers. I just don't. But I still do, because I'm in privy all the time, right? So I come across deals all the time in privy, and I'll write offers. I'll show you guys that deal I closed in a bit, but it's I've got my hands full basically.
I know, that's why I had to ask. I was really curious. I was like, wow, this man really can do it all.
You know what? I think that because we I'm always telling people like, yeah, you can work nights and weekends, and so like I could be doing that too with finding deals, but what ends up happening is I'm just working nights and weekends with Privy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm one of the owners, right? So it's like that's where I want to spend my time. Whereas somebody who has got a 9 to 5, like they're not going to go nights and weekends on their 9 to 5, right? They want to get away from their job and
Mhm.
and, and make do their side hustle. Well, like this is my hustle, right? It's my main hustle, my side hustle, it's everything. So it's a good question. But here's another deal. So this one was an on-market acquisition. So here's what the house looked like before they fixed it up. You can see it's just like an older home. It was built in 1962. You can see it's got that 1962, wood paneling and construction. It's got the wallpaper, original cabinets. There's that steel sink. It's this same sink as that last house we looked at. And this
There
house
we
is built
go.
in 1962. Um, but look at the numbers here. So this is why I don't like the 70% MAO formula. And I don't know how this is going to play out, but I want to just run kind of like an exercise. So let's say
For those of for the people who are new here, what is it? What is MAO?
MEO stands for maximum allowable offer.
Okay.
So it's just a number that you want to get to where you understand that, like, I'm not going to go over this certain price, because at that point, if I do, then buyers won't be interested in it. So I need to be lower than that price. The
Okay.
lower I get, the more margin I create for myself to be able to get a larger assignment fee. So the MAO, there's a formula that a lot of people have used for years, and in my mind, it's become kind of obsolete because it doesn't take into respect or into account the market itself or what the motivation of the buyer is. It's just, kind of like I don't know what you call it. Like, it's a universal formula. Like, it doesn't take reality into account. So this is how it might work. So this house right here, 342. The typical formula is you multiply 70% times the after repair value. You subtract out construction costs, and then you subtract out your assignment fee, and then that number is your maximum allowable offer. And so let's do that on this property here and see how the numbers play out. So this buyer was willing to pay 61% of that. So they paid 207, and that 207 is 61% of 342. But let's do the formula. So let's take 342 times 0.7, which brings us down to 239. Okay. And then we have to subtract out the construction costs. So you can estimate construction costs many different ways, but the average remodel on a house like this that's in fair condition is around $40 a square foot, around $40. And it's higher and lower and depending upon market. So let's go ahead and in the square feet, this house is 1717. Let's multiply that by $40 a square foot. We come up with $68,680. So before that, I had the amount of 239. So 239 was 70% of 342. So let's subtract out that 68,680. We're down to 170,000. And then we got to subtract out our assignment fee, right? So we can make money. So let's just say it was a small $5,000 assignment fee. So if you found this property and you were using the MAO formula, you would have offered $165,000 when an actual flipper was willing to pay $207,000 for it.
Wow.
And we wonder why we're not getting deals under contract. Like, why am I keep submitting offers? I never win bids, right? I know people in this group are thinking that right now. Like, man, I can't win a bid. Like, somebody always beats me out. This is why. The reason why you're not winning bids is because you don't know what a deal is. And that isn't derogatory, and it isn't to like demean anybody. But if you're coming in and you're literally $41,000 less than what an actual buyer was willing to buy a property for, then you don't know what a deal is, right? So the only time you would ever use the 70% MEO formula is if you don't know what your buyers want or you haven't done your research. And with Pervy, it gets really easy to do your research and become a local market expert and know what percentage of ARV buyers are really buying at. And what that will allow you to do is to become more competitive. So now all you have to do is just get a little bit lower than what they would have bought it for. So if you would come in here and maybe was able to negotiate it for 200,000, which is still like $35,000 higher than what you would have paid or wrote an offer for if you had used the MAO formula, and then you could slip in and make a quick 7,000 bucks. But this is why you're not getting deals, likely, guys. This is one of the reasons, because you're not writing offers based off of the local market realities, what actual buyers are buying for, the competitiveness of the market, the price ranges, the market itself. Like, again, a deal in Dallas is not the same thing as a deal in Chicago or Denver or Portland. So what do you think about that exercise I just showed you, Emily?
I'm sorry, Benson. I was moderating the chat.
Okay. Well, the fact that if somebody used the 70% MAO formula on this property, they would have offered $41,000 less than what an actual buyer in that market was willing to buy it for.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so then they're getting outbid.
You're getting outbid,
Yeah.
right? So 61%. So who is this buyer? Like you want to work with this buyer. So what I tell people is like you want to work with buyers that are willing to buy from the MLS
Hmm.
and that will pay a higher percentage of ARV. Without Privy, you wouldn't know either of those things. You'd have to go and find a bunch of buyers and then get to a point where they trust you, know you, and like you, and then maybe they'll tell you what they really buy. But with Privy, it's almost like you're part of the CIA. Like you have information that you probably shouldn't have, right? And that's what Privy means, right? Privy means you have information that others don't. Do you know that's what Privy means,
No,
Emily?
I didn't know the name behind that. That's so
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah, privy is like you're privy to information. Like you have exclusive or you have, information that isn't available to everybody. And that's what we're doing here is we're giving you info, you guys, that will help you be more prepared, more qualified. Um, the data just will really help separate you, and it teaches you the real estate side of the business because there's like the lead gen and there's kind of the strategy and there's the theory of investing and wholesaling, and then there's like the nuts and bolts and like the where the rubber meets the road in your target market. Like this is what a deal really is. So this in itself is education, you guys. You can teach yourself what a deal is, and you can become a local market expert by just studying all the deals as they close in real time. So if I come over here and I click filter, and then I save this search, what I suggest everybody here who has Privy, and if you don't have Privy, you guys should sign up. I think that Emily has a link and a promo code. We're giving some really good discounts right now.
Yeah,
Um,
guys. Promo code DAMG5 for a sweet discount. And I just dropped the link in the chat.
so I would call this like Sold Flips Dallas, and I would just want to know like every day if whenever a new flip happens, I want to know about it because I'm going to go and I'm going to add that person to my buyers list. And I'm also going to take that information and add it to my local market intelligence and be like, okay, well, it looks like in this area, people were buying it at 65% of the ARV, a couple months ago, but now I'm seeing stuff at 61%. So you can identify trends there, and you've got your finger on the pulse of the market. So in this kind of uncertain area, like what's the market going to do? It's ever more important for you to pay attention to like all the closed deals. And pretty soon you guys will get so confident in like what a deal is that you'll get to a point where you won't even have to like pull comps on properties. You'll be looking at an area and you'll be like, oh yeah, that house is in Cedar Crest. That one ranch that sold there last week on Oak Meadows went for 342. I just got a deal and I can get it for 200. That's a good deal, right? So you will become like intuitively like you'll just know what a deal is without even having to go and like go through that whole comping process. And that all comes with just ingesting and researching all of these properties as they happen. And it doesn't require a lot of work, right? Like all of it's right here.
Yeah. Tracy asked, what were the filters for that search again? We didn't even have any filters, right? We're just looking at solds, right?
Well, we did have a filter, but we didn't create it manually. So if I reset this, so reset the search, run search, when you're in a market like this is just like the standard, like here's some active deals.
Mm-hmm.
But right here, when I click this button, there's basically a filter that's in that button. It's baked into it. So when I click fix and flip, the filter is this. So again, you don't have to recreate it manually. You just have to click that button. But to show you what it is, it's sold properties that were fixed and flipped lower than 75% of the ARV in the past 12 months. And I sorted by sold date. So this is the default search that is baked into this fix and flip button.
Nice.
Okay. Now, and it works the same way anywhere. So let's say we were looking at, let's look at your market. So here's the Indianapolis market. I'll include surrounding areas. So right in here, see like this little hot pocket?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the majority of the investor activity is in Indianapolis. Where, without divulging where you live, like which part are you in?
We're right downtown.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
So you're right over here.
Yeah. Mhm.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. Um,
I always pictured you to be like living in the suburbs or something. I don't know
oh,
why.
no, 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 no. We try to stay away from the suburbs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nice and eclectic down here. And like it's really cool because the neighborhood that we live in, it has a lot of original houses, but there's also new builds and renovated houses. And it's really cool because there's so much to look at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we live like in the right in the heart of the investor activity pretty much.
Oh, right over here?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
like
this right here is where the highest amounts are, right? So Grace Tuxedo Park, like this is where the majority of the deals are. So you can once you get close enough, those clusters break up. And now we're looking at the actual deals themselves. So you can see like there's just a lot going on right around here, right?
Mhm.
And then again, like see one of the houses that just closed recently. This one is on Tuxedo. It must be like right down the way from Tuxedo Park. Um, Look at the before and after on this. This was an on-market deal that you guys should have got, Emily.
I know, right?
What happened? How'd you miss this?
I don't know, man.
Because it
Uh,
was 85 grand. They got it for 41%
yeah.
of the ARV.
Yeah, well, Greg is about to lock up a duplex for I think 50.
Ooh, okay. 50 grand?
Yeah. Yep. It's an off market that he got from an agent and pocket listing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't
What's
know.
the ARV?
Oh, shoot. I don't know the ARV off the top of my head.
I would say it's probably close to like 250. I
Yeah.
mean, because we're looking at a single family that just sold for 205.
Yeah. Well, once he got it in, he immediately called one of his buyers. He actually found this buyer off Privy. He called him, he drove over there, he looked at it, and the buyer didn't even like look at the comps. He just knew the area and he knew that Greg told him the price of 60. So he was like, yeah, I'll take it. And it was like sold in like 10 minutes. They need to do all like the official paperwork and everything. But yeah, he already has a verbal yes from his buyer.
That's exciting. And he didn't even have to get it under contract.
No, yeah. So his acquisition partner is negotiating it. So hopefully it'll happen. I'll let you guys know next week.
Yeah, let us know. That's cool. So this one here, another fix and flip, and then you can come in here and you can see like it works the same way everywhere, right? So whether um, you're targeting a high investor activity, a low investor activity. If you were in a third party area, let's say you really liked Boise, Idaho, like maybe you live there, there's some decent activity there, but what the only difference is that you'll just have the street views here and it won't update as often. Like you don't get as up to date information if it's in a third party. So like those gray and those yellow areas that are on the map.
Mhm.
But if you got a choice, why would target either a low investor activity area, or would you target an area that doesn't have direct MLS when you've got like 90 plus markets to get like really good information like this? Like the deals are they're out there. So this is where you would market, right? This is where guys would try to generate leads. So there's lots of lead gen strategies. I know with like Astro Blaster, right? That's one of the your guys' newest lead generation strategies.
Mhm.
Um, and what's Astro Blaster again?
Yeah, Astro Blaster. Astro Blaster is a SMS lead gen strategy, and it has like built out workflows. So your follow up is mindless. It literally, once you have the initial connection with the agent, it'll automatically put them in the follow up workflow, and so you don't even have to think about it. It'll automatically follow up with them, and then you just boop have that conversation again in a week or 2 weeks or whatever workflow they're in. So it's a texting campaign.
Oh, cool. So it's not for off market leads, it's for agent outreach. Or you can use it for whatever, but
Yep.
you guys are teaching agent outreach with it.
Yep. Hmm.
That's so cool.
It's
That's
amazing.
smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and so you can find those agents again through here, right? So you guys, if this is how
Yeah.
you would find those agents that you can reach out to. So there's investor friendly agents like Randy, right? Randy Wasmuth is an agent who knows how to work with investors. So he might be more likely to work with you if he understands what investors are going on, what's happening with them. And if Randy has one client like this flipper, he likely has others,
Yep.
right? So this is how you can find those investor friendly agents who have investors they work with and who might even have pocket listings, right?
Matthew asked in the chat, can you filter properties that don't have equity?
You can, but we don't have like a true equity measurer, like where we can say, okay, this house is worth this exact much in its ARV, and this house and the mortgage is this. The easiest way to do that, honestly, is to look at homes that were purchased recently. So you can do a search for, let's say, absentee owners, and you could say that they purchased the property less than 10 years ago. So if they purchased the property less than 10 years ago, like you really don't start paying down your principal like until like after 3 or 4 years, or up to maybe 5 years. At that point, you start to, it's what's that called? It's an amortization schedule, and I don't know where that tipping point is, but the more recent they bought the house, the less equity they have.
That's so funny. Ferris asked how to download off-market deals in the area. I actually just called Benson today because I was trying to figure this out for Greg. He wanted to download an absentee owner list.
Yep.
It's super easy. Benson, if you want to just quickly show.
Yeah. So if you're going to download an absentee owner list, you want to make sure you're downloading an absentee owner list in this neighborhood, right? So this is the strategy where you want to find the unrenovated home that's right next door to the North Tuxedo house, or
Mhm.
any of these unrenovated or renovated houses. So the renovated house turns the unrenovated house into a deal, right? So what you would do is you would come up here to the filter, and actually let's just go ahead and like circle this area. So we have a drawing tool. It's in the upper right hand corner. So I'm just going to circle this. Then I'm going to change the filter over. I'm going to reset it real quick just to kind of give us a blank slate. And then I am going to, I forgot it deletes the circle too.
Man, I wish I pulled it after we did this because I pulled the list of all of Indianapolis.
Oh, you did? How many was there?
It was 6,000. So what we did was we took the first 1,000 and skip traced that. But now I'm thinking, oh man.
Yeah, let's talk offline about that, okay? I might have a way to help you.
Okay.
So you're going to choose what status you want, right? So you want off market, you're going to choose sold. So any property that's not currently on the market, so under any of these other statuses right here, if it's on market, it's going to be one of those statuses. If it's off market, it's only going to be one status, sold. Okay. So absentee owners, and then you can sort by different things, but you maybe want to sort by sold date. And then you have to think about if you want off market leads, someone has to be motivated to sell. So if you keep it on timeline, then if they bought it really recently, then they might not be motivated to sell, right? If they just bought it.
Yeah.
But if you use the date range, you can come in here, you can say, well, maybe they bought it before, I don't know, let's say 2015, right? So that would give them like 8 years to get into a situation where they might want to sell. It really depends on what the motivation is. If you're looking for buyers, then it probably wouldn't matter if they bought a house last week, right? Because that's what I like about absentee owners, you guys, is that they're dual purpose. Absentee owners are landlords, and landlords buy property, so they could be a buyer for you. Um, and that's a good way to kind of start the calls. Like, let's call an absentee owner list and first say, hey, listen, I'm just calling you. I saw you close that house over on Main Street last week. We're just calling and checking in. It looks the property looks great. Are you currently looking for other properties to add to your portfolio? I might have something for you. and they might say, "Oh no, we're not buying right now. We're actually looking to unload some stuff." So they might actually become a seller at that point. But you can use this date range here to change the filter. And actually, let's make this a little bit newer because I
I
like to
really like
think,
your approach to that. I really like that.
yeah, they can be both. So I just changed it to 2020, so that anybody who owns a property now has owned it for at least 3 years. And so all of these people, there's 843 people here where they've got 3 years to get into a situation where they might want to sell. And because of the whole COVID scenario where the government told landlords that they weren't going to get rent, like renters didn't have to pay their rent for up to 18 months, which is ridiculous. The landlords still had to pay their mortgage. And so a lot of landlords are in situations right now where they're in a hole. Like if they weren't getting paid for a long time and now there's these people are squatters and they're still not getting paid. And I read an article that said that 1 out of every 4 landlords has listed a property for sale in the last 12 months.
Wow.
So landlords are motivated right now, and primarily because the government decided that people were just too small to fail. You've heard of too big to fail? Like they gave bailouts to banks, back in 2008.
Mhm.
Now they're deciding that, oh, it's fine if people don't pay their rent. Like who's it going to bother? Well, landlords, and a lot of them are really bad. So this is 843. Now I've got this. So right here at the top is this little download button. I click download, and it's going to download 843 properties into a spreadsheet. And we give you 10,000 of these per month, you guys. So you're not going to have any shortage of leads for off market, or if you want to use this for downloading buyers lists, it's up to you what you use it for. But it resets every what happened to that list? Every
I
month.
saw
Oh, here we
somebody
go.
ask in the chat, how do you draw the boundaries? It's just that little pencil icon in the top right corner, right?
Yep, right here. There's a little pencil icon, and it is below that's the eraser. All right, so here's this list, right? So this has 800 and something people in it. So over here on the left is the subject property, and then here's the property and sales transaction details, the property details, and then here's the owner information. And so some people own properties in their own name, and other people own them in their company names. So one strategy here, you guys, is to actually sort this. So that right here it says owner business. So I'm going to sort this. I'm going to click the spreadsheet, and I'm going to go to the data tab, and I'm going to go to the sort function, and I'm going to sort by owner business name. And what that does is it sorts it, and then you could find landlords that have more than one property in this area. So as I scroll down right here, you'll start to see some duplicates. So Bulls Investments has 2 houses in this little area in Tuxedo Park.
Nice.
Um, Bonner Properties has a couple. Look at Brickyard Capital Partners. Looks like a church has a couple properties. Oh, look at D&L Management.
Oh wow, they have a lot.
I should give this list to you, Emily.
Send it
um,
over. It's probably better than the one that I pulled.
yeah, DFC. So why does it matter if they have more than one? Well, if they got a lot of properties, it isn't going to be a big deal to them to just unload one if they're thinking about selling one. Whereas you find a mom and pop, like the hardest part about real estate is acquiring it. And so like smart people like just don't want to sell unless they're in like a really distressed situation. But these people here, like DNL management, like they're a good target because maybe they're selling properties, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're buying. Well, this would be a great buyer to have on your buyers list. So another strategy there where you can sort this, and again, you just sort it by owner business name, column W. So that's how you could pull lists. That was just one example. There's other options here like foreclosures, vacants, senior owners, tired landlords, zombie properties. So
Nah,
lots of different options here.
can we show Greg in the chat where that download button is one more time?
Yeah, It's right here at the top. So right underneath the search bar, it's right there. And it's also in lists. So if I come over here to lists and I actually have a list that I've created, let's say I went in and added a bunch of properties to a list, I can select all the properties in that list. And over here to the right, there's a download button too in the list view.
Quentin asked, was that list uploaded to an Excel?
It wasn't uploaded to Excel. We exported it into a CSV file.
Yeah.
Yeah, CSV file is what this is. So over here on the left where it says file,
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
say that. See, it's a
it pulls up.
CSV document.
Yeah, I think it just it pulls up whatever application you have. Because when I did it on my Mac, it pulled up the Numbers app because I don't have Excel.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, but it'll know what to do.
Yep. Computers are smart.
They are.
Another cool feature we have, you guys, is let's say, for example, you live in like in Colorado. Colorado puts a lot of their like publicly available information on the county website. So you can go and you can download code violations, you can download foreclosures, you can download probates, and those are all free. And so let's say you really wanted to do code violations. I can't remember who it was that was talking about it. It was Charles. I can't remember his last name from San Antonio. He had it was like an absentee owner with it's vacant and like code violations, and he was like this high level like list that he said to pull. But you can upload any list that you acquire into Pervy, and Pervy will analyze it for you. So over here in the upper left hand corner, there's this upload button.
What?
You can click upload, and you can upload a CSV file. It could be thousands of properties, and Pervy will build a comparative market analysis for those, all those CMAs. It'll pull comps. It'll append all the owner information, mortgage information, deed data, if that tell you if the house is in foreclosure or if it's vacant. Pervy will do all of that from any list that you upload into Pervy. Did you know that, Emily? I can't see you, so I can't see your face.
No, sorry. I was typing, but that's actually really cool. I did not know that. I feel like a
Yeah,
lot of people didn't know that.
yeah, they probably did. I mean, we teach it in the trainings, but when we do things with Jamil and Astro, like we're really focused on like agent outreach, and we're only able to show many of our features because we're so like focused on certain things.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I'm glad we're doing this, because we can really kind of show them a lot of the other things that Pervy does.
Yeah, 100%. Me too.
And so I think one of these, it was this test. Let's see. Oh, like this one right here, this test one. This was a list that I imported into Pervy. And then right here, what I can do is I can come this little map thing, this little like pen. If I click that, what it does is it takes those all and it puts them on a map.
What?
It maps them all for you.
That
And
is
then
so cool.
every one of these, this is all properties that were imported, and we build a comparative market analysis for it.
Warren, investor-friendly title company in Indianapolis. Hawker Title is really good. Hocker, Hawker Title. And then Monument Title is also really good.
So let's look for some deals. So like here's my market. So I'm in St. Louis. Let me reset this.
For some reason, Andre Banks, he keeps saying that he can't see active properties in his privy. And I don't know. He's in the main market, I believe.
You can see active. It just would be third party.
Okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't be looking for deals in Maine. I'll tell you that right now.
You shouldn't?
No,
Yeah, and
there's
well,
no investor activity there.
yeah, Andre also asked earlier, what if he can't find any comps? And that's what I was wondering what market he was in because I was wondering if there was investor activity.
There isn't. Like, there's really no like significant investor activity like northeast of Philadelphia. Like, if you want to stay the closest to the northeast, Andre, like I would choose Philly.
There you go.
Um, but Baltimore, DC, Cherry Hill in South Jersey is decent. Yeah, maybe like Western New York, Rochester, Buffalo. I just, you know, Connecticut, Maine, Rhode Island, um, Massachusetts, like all of those just don't have a significant amount of investor activity to make it a good place for you to spend all your hard-earned time, right? Like you really want to get a good investment on that time you're putting in your business, and trying to find stuff in Maine isn't going to be worth it for you. I promise you. So
Age,
if you're using Privy, like
go ahead.
the world is your oyster. You can look anywhere.
Yeah. That and yep. AG, I want to address his question. He said, I know agent outreach can provide reliable income, but how reliable is it to make money off of the MLS? So if you're asking what I think you're asking about MLS outreach that Jamil teaches, it is definitely very reliable, and you can do agent outreach through that method, but you need to be very consistent and you have to hit your KPIs every day. So Jamil says make at least 5 offers a day, 5 to 10 offers a day, and you just have to do that consistently. And while you're calling these agents to make those offers, you can connect with them and add them to your phone and follow up with them for pocket listings and um, do agent outreach that way. But I just
Oh
want
yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you. I don't remember what the name of the person was that asked that question, but MLS is the most consistent.
Yeah.
It's the reason why it's consistent is because the seller has raised their hand and said they want to sell the property. The owner has, right? And you know what the property, what they want to sell it for. The offer process is already established. There's an agent there who is tasked to try to sell the house. So like they're taking calls. With off market, you might stumble into a deal tomorrow and you might not have another lead till October. Like that's how inconsistent off market is. So if you want consistency in your business, MLS deals is the way to do it. And all you have to do is just look at the dozens and dozens and dozens of Astro students who are just killing it, who are making tens of thousands, closing dozens of deals per month. Like Jamil's done a really good job of showing some of those people. Um, like Ryan, I know
Mhm.
is killing it. John Galan, Mahmood, Michelle. Like there's just so many people that are just almost exclusively doing MLS deals.
Yeah. Yeah, the MLS is hot. And like Benson said, like these are sellers that have raised their hand and they're literally saying, I'm motivated. I'm motivated. Offer on
Yeah.
my house.
The other thing here is that you guys like the MLS strategy works the best in these high investor activity areas. Because remember when I said is if you find an unrenovated home next to a renovated house, that unrenovated house becomes a deal. The margins are created. So I'm going to show that here. So here's all the sold properties that have happened, and I'm actually the house that I'm sitting in is right over in this area. So I this is why I'm here physically. Like I practice what I preach. Like I'm not just doing this with Privy. Like I've been here for 6 months doing deals because of the data. So that's how much I believe in the data and how accurate it is, because it's doing deals for me, and I'm not even doing it full time. I can only imagine what I would be doing if I was. But let's go ahead and look for on market deals we can buy. So if I click this one button right here, it says find similar active deals. What this is going to do is it's going to reverse engineer, and it's going to take all those properties that were closed and use those as a model for what a successful deal looks like. And then it will come across properties like this one that you can buy for 49 grand.
Oh, wow. I would get such a headache in there.
I know.
Holy moly.
Look at that kitchen. Ew, it's like beautiful. Um, so so here's this property, 49,000. And then down below here is the comparables. So this is, I can't remember who asked about what are investor comps.
Yes.
This is what investor comps are, right? So investor comps are all the blue ones. So these are the properties that tell us that this property is a deal. And based upon the percentage of ARV that we set. So I actually didn't adjust this, but I'm going to down. So in that button where I click find similar active deals, it has a preset filter, just like when we clicked fix and flip, except for it's active 75% of the ARV or lower on the market, sort by days on market. But based off of what I know about this, remember we were doing that market research, we wanted to be lower than a certain percentage. In St. Louis, I want to be lower than about 55%. That's about where I want to be. So I lower this, and I could add in other filters here. So let's say I talk to a buyer, and a buyer tells me, like, I really want to stay underneath 150 grand, right? And maybe you have a landlord buyer, and they say, you know what, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this certain zip code. Like, you can basically rebuild their buy box or their buying criteria in Privy. And Privy will just constantly search for properties that match their specific deal criteria. And you would just save those separately. So I could save a search, and I might call this, my Susie homebuyer search. And I might have another one for John landlord search, right? And then when those are emailed to you in the morning, and you open them up on your phone or on the computer, you know what it is you're looking at. You're like, oh, this is a Susie deal. This is a John deal, right? And that way you can look at it through that lens. But it's all automated, you guys. So when you're at work and you're handling, life and the family and, all the things that you have the responsibility to do, Pervy's still working behind the scenes for you. It's like having a team of virtual assistants that are constantly just doing all the heavy lifting for you so you can focus on the things that matter to you most.
Heck yeah. India asked, where are we finding this deal? So India, we are on Privy, and you can actually get it tonight for a little sweet discount using the code DMG5. So I see you're on Facebook, so you can go to getprivynow.com and use code DMG5, and you can start using it.
Yep. And then right here's an example. So this one's 49 grand. I set the filter to 55%, right? So that means there's going to be comps that prove that this house is lower than 55%. So when I come into the comparable section right here, all the blue ones are the ones where that math supports that. So if I look below here in the comp section, remember I told you guys that you want to find houses that are near flipped houses? Well, this house for 49 grand is a deal because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 flipped comps. This is a high investor activity area. Again, I only found this because of the data. Like I wasn't like I happened to be here, but the data will lead you to the best areas to look for deals. So this unrenovated home became a deal because we have 7 flipped comps. So when Andre was saying he couldn't find comps for properties in Maine, it's because there's not an investor activity there that will help him understand that. He might find another sold house, but if that house that sold wasn't renovated, then you literally cannot determine the after repair value of a house you're evaluating unless the comps were flipped. So by targeting high investor activity areas, it puts you in the best position to have flipped comps that you can use to help you understand what to offer. And also, when you figure out what to offer and you understand the values, you use these same flipped comps as proof to your end buyer what this thing is worth. And it also will allow you to submit offers that have a higher chance of being accepted. This house at asking price, we're not even like asking for a discount. If we sort this by distance, the closest sold flip to this one sold for $140,000. They bought it for 50, sold it for 140. This house at asking price is at 36% of the ARV.
Wow.
36%. And I know that there's buyers in this market that will buy at 55% right now. So this is a deal. And I didn't have to cold call. I didn't have to skip trace. I didn't have to knock on anybody's door. I didn't have to sit at the kitchen table of somebody who's in foreclosure and have an uncomfortable conversation about them losing their house. I just am doing this all from the comfort of my own home using Privy, and I could literally write an offer on this thing. And it's super simple. Like I didn't have to do like a whole lot of work for it. And it's zero marketing dollars. Zero marketing dollars.
Yep.
Look at these numbers, Emily.
I know, it's insane. Privy just makes it so easy. It's And I love hearing you speak because it helps me look at the information, and it helps me like learn things that I never thought about before. Because the way that you look at it is just, I don't know, I don't think like that. So it's really helpful.
Good. Well, I hope others are getting benefit from this too, because I've been doing this forever, you guys. And again, I'm an investor myself, and I just happen to be, somebody who uses it here at the company. And um, we do these trainings all week, like twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. We're always doing live trainings, so you're never going to be like, you know, disappointed that you didn't have support. Like, you may look at this and be like, "Oh yeah, that looks it's easy when Benson does it." Well, yeah, I've been doing it forever, and I do it all the time, but you can learn it too. Like, we've got this guy named Dan. He's like, I think he's 85 years old. He uses Privy. Right? He's like,
Oh, yes.
like an old man, and he calls in. He likes talking to the girls, and they chat. And but we also have people like Ryan, right,
Yeah.
who's 18,
Mhm.
right? So like, you're in that spectrum someplace, you guys. We got people who are construction workers who use Privy. We got people who are doctors that use Privy. We got people who have just a high school education. We got people who have doctorates. Like, anybody can use it, and we're always constantly adding in new features, and changing around the user interface and making it more user friendly. So I promise you, you guys will enjoy using it. It's fun. Like, people tell me all the time, Emily, that this is like playing a video game.
Yeah. I love that. It's so good.
It's this right here, you guys. This house looks just like the one, right? They sold for 140. It's renovated. And so well, if I write an offer on this property, the other one, I get under contract. When I go to start marketing that thing, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the sharing link for this house that was flipped, and I put that in my marketing email. So when I market it, I'm sending the buyer directly to this, so they can see that this house sold for 140. They can see the photos. They can really see like what kind of construction they need to do to this house to get to the same value. And all I have to do is lock up this house at 49,000 bucks. Like, it's insane. It absolutely is insane, like how simple we can make it. Now, does it find stuff like this every single day? It will somewhere in the US. Will it find something like this tomorrow in St. Louis? Maybe not. But once, if it pops up on Friday, you'll get an automated email, and it'll let you know. And you can actually get email alerts every hour, depending upon how busy you are. You maybe don't want your phone blowing up all day, but that buzz or that ping in your pocket is money. So all you got to do is just take action.
Mhm.
So I'm going to share this with the group here, so you guys can see what that looks like. We're going to get the infinite mirror here in a second, Emily.
Okay, I'll take it down really quick.
Oh, will you post this? I'm unable to put stuff in the chat, but I'll put it in our chat for us.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go back. So you can stop the infinite mirror. So there's a deal, right? So what I would do here at this point is there's two approaches. So Jamil and a lot of people like the direct to listing agent approach. So I could come right in here, and Patrick Peterson's the agent on this. So you could call Patrick Peterson and talk to them, and you could do that double dip approach where you can put the carrot out there that says, "Hey, I'm coming unrepresented. Do you want to submit the offer for me?" And then that will allow Patrick to get not just the commission that he's going to get from listing the property, he can also get the commission on the buy side too. Now, it's not going to amount to much because it's only $50,000 house, but that's the difference between
3%.
$1,500 or
Yeah.
$3,000,
That's
right?
pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a dinner at Ruth's Chris or something, right? Like, I don't know. Um, but yeah, so you basically can double the amount of commission that would. Now, if you were doing that same strategy in, I don't know, in another market where the average house is 500,000, right? Now we're talking some big dollars there. They can be extremely motivating. What I did is, when I first started to do wholesale deals in St. Louis from Denver, I didn't know the market. I was doing them 100% virtual. I found an agent that was investor friendly, that was representing flippers, and I called and I found my agent Nika. And so what she did for me is she actually was my boots on the ground. So whenever I found a house like this, what I would do is I would forward this email. I would just send it to Nika, and I'd say, "Hey Nika, I think this thing is worth right around 150,000 bucks. I want to offer, $45,000 for it. Make sure there's an assignment clause in there. We'll do a 30-day close, 10-day earnest money, or 10-day inspection period, 3-day earnest money deposit, and then she would submit it for me. But then what she would do is she would go to the house and take pictures. She'd take
Nice.
pictures, and then she would look at the electrical box, and she'd be like, "Oh, Benson, the foundation's crumbling. Like, we can't go in that high. Like, we're going to have to adjust our offer to make it work." So I like that because I had somebody like an advocate, a fiduciary on my team who was on the ground for me. Patrick Peterson's not going to do that.
No.
He's not going to be your advocate. And by the way, it's Patrick's fiduciary responsibility to make sure he doesn't help you, because it's his job to get the highest price for his seller.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what the paperwork is. That's what a listing contract is. It's a fiduciary contract. So there is definitely a strategy here in working with listing agents, but I really like to work with my agent. And also, you guys think about the amount of time you have in your business. Like if you're only working directly with agents like this, you're really involved in every transaction. But if you have a Nika like I do, all I'm doing is I'm just forwarding this with an email, and she does all the work for me.
What
And
is that little button?
what's that?
What is that little button?
Right here at the top, the share button.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so share right here at the top, and it creates this email template. So you
Nice.
can just type the address in of the email address that you want to send it to, or you can copy this and you could text it to somebody, or you could send it via Facebook chat or Slack or whatever you use. Um, and then the person on the other end can open it, and they don't have to be a privy user. It's just they see this exact same report. It's not editable. So like me as a privy user, I can hide comps. So let's say I was going to use this to market my deal. I might get rid of the comps that I don't like, right? And then maybe I want to draw, just the comp zone. Maybe I don't want to look for comps north of Delore Street. So I'm going to make like a really tight niche. So I can make the edits on my end. I can adjust the comp settings. I can do stuff in here. And then when they open it, they're only going to see the comps I want them to see, but they don't have the ability to
Wow.
edit.
Wow, that is so cool. So you do your edits and then you send share and then they'll see that grid you drew.
Yep, they just see what they want them to see.
Wow, that is so cool.
So that's a deal, right? Here's another one. Here's the one. It's 108,000. That's on Schiller. So that reminds me. So let me show you guys a couple of the deals I closed.
John asked, well, what happens to the original realtor of this listing? So sorry, you explain this, Benson.
So the original realtor of the listing is still involved. Like they're the listing agent. So they have a contract to sell that house for the seller.
Yeah.
So they don't go anywhere. They're part of it the whole time. All transactions have two sides. There's the listing commission, and there's the commission that goes to the agent that brings the buyer. So in a typical transaction, the listing agent is going to make that 3%. In that case, it was $1,500. If I bring Nika and Nika is going to represent me, then she gets $1,500 too. And so they both get 1,500.
Yep.
But if I didn't want to use Nika and I wanted to use Patrick and do the double dip approach, then Patrick's going to get the full $3,000. Does that make sense?
Yep. That's what I meant to say, but it wasn't coming out.
All right, let me see if I can find.
Kenneth said, Benson, you're a beast. Privy is the best.
Oh, awesome.
Benson is a beast.
Thanks, guys. Okay, so let me find this deal. So what other questions do we have in the chat, Emily, while I'm looking for this?
Well, I was just wondering, so is that how you got one of these deals you're about to show us? You did it with Nika?
Yeah, Nika wrote all the offers.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see here. That's other showings that I did. I can't remember
Let
what list I put
me
these people in.
find some
Here's my
questions.
buyers list.
Does Privy show you auctions?
We do have an auction tab, but I found that like there's not really like a lot of auctions out there. Like you will see properties that are in auctions. Like you can search for keywords. So that we have a keyword search, and you could definitely put auction in there, and it will help find it. But there's not a filter for it that works. There's more buyers. Come on, Benson. Where is this at? Deals, tests. Did I delete those? There's no way I deleted those.
Privy doesn't have land, right? Vacant lots.
We don't. Man, why am I unable to find this?
Somebody asked Benson, why did you choose St. Louis for your market?
Because the investor activity. The data, I showed you all those markets that had high investor activity. I really wanted to, if Chicago was more friendly to wholesaling, I would have chosen Chicago. But I chose St. Louis because it has high investor activity, low prices, and it was always a market I was very interested in.
Quentin, yes, he is full-time wholesaling now.
Oh, here's some. Here we go. So, so this Schiller. So this is one I found on Privy. This house. This is the after product. So this is one that someone actually flipped. This is the after the flipper flipped it. And down here is what I found. So when it popped up in my email, this is what it looked like. So I bought this thing for, I got it under contract for 60 grand. And then I did an assignment contract for $10,000. And this is before I ever set foot here. So I closed this deal. I never saw it. Nika wrote the for me, and it was a $10,000 assignment fee.
Nice.
Zero marketing, not a bunch of cold calling and all that sort of thing.
Did you say what you offered on it? Where you in at?
I got it for 60.
Wow. What was it listed at?
It was listed at 60. I think
Oh,
it was. I think it was. Let's see. 74. 74.9.
oh, it was listed at 74.
Yep.
Wow. So you sold it at 75?
No, that was the list price. So we got it at 60,000.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I did an assignment fee for 10.
I'm following.
Yep. And so this guy Hitchum got it.
Did you find your buyer on Privy or you already had him?
I had buyers, but I ended up doing a JV deal with
Oh,
a guy
nice.
that I met. Yep.
Wow. Just like
And
that,
then
Vincent. I love it.
yeah, and then this one right here, the house I'm sitting in is this house. So that one I'm turning into an Airbnb. I was going to wholesale it. The ARVs on the house, I don't know what they are now, but
Wow, that's really cute. I like that.
so here's the ARVs on this house that I got. 52, 49%. So these two houses were just flipped right down the street.
How many Airbnbs do you have?
I have two now. And this is the one I just closed last week. So I got it for 40,000. And I sold it for 60,000. I double closed on it.
Nice. Do you
Yep.
manage? Do you
And
like
here's Nika. So Nika sold it for me.
Nice. Wow, you
Yeah,
are
and this was a privy deal, you guys. Like I found it the exact same way I'm showing you guys tonight. Like
Yeah.
we're not just blowing smoke up what, because we want to to sell privy. The tool does what it's supposed to do. It's absolutely amazing, and it's getting better all the time. We're adding in more rental comparables, so that if you want to do long-term rentals, you'll be able to search privy for properties using cap rates and cash on cash return and gross yield. We're also doing a partnership with AirDNA, if you're familiar with that. It's basically like an Airbnb, like short-term rental data set. So you'll be able to look at a house, you'll be able to look at an area and be like show me all the the short-term rentals in this neighborhood, right? And you'll be able to see like the vacancy rates or the occupancy rates, and then you'll see like what the rental rates are, and then you'll be able to click a button in Privy. It'll say, find me other Airbnbs I can buy right now that are like the ones down the street, and it will go and find those, and you can define the discount that you want to get it at and what your return on investment will be. So
That's
that's all coming.
next level.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. Another thing is I would definitely recommend getting, if you're thinking about taking action and you're right on the edge, I would definitely recommend doing it sooner than later, because their pricing is going to change. So when you sign up, you're grandfathered in. And tonight you can get 20% off your first month or 20% off the annual with code DAMG5.
30% off the annual.
30%. Ooh. Okay.
Yep.
Also, you can upgrade your account to the annual, correct? For 30% off if you're already a member.
You can upgrade. Just go into the billing section, and then there's going to be a little place where you can put in the promo code, and it will upgrade you, and then you'll be grandfathered in, and you'll get all the bonuses. So some of the bonuses you're going to get is you're going to get a national buyers list that's got over 5,000 people on it. It's already pre-skip traced and all segmented out by state, so that you can be really like laser targeted on certain buyers. We give you a national hedge fund list. Hedge funds are still buying properties. They've tweaked their buy box a bit. Um, I'm also going to give you a national private money lender list. You're going to get our rehab guidebook, which shows you kind of like the rehab process of trying together. You get that for free. Grandfathered pricing. You get access to our live mastermind that we do twice per week.
Wow.
And then you also get the course that I built. So when I was trying to figure out like which market I was going to go do deals in, and how I was going to do it, because I had only ever done deals in Colorado, like I basically just documented my whole process and turned it into a course. So I filmed it and I documented it. And I turned it into a bunch of different modules, and I was selling that for a while for $1,500. I'm not like a big coach or mentor like Jamil, but it's valuable. And so I'm going to give you guys that for free. And then you also get to come to my exclusive coaching calls that I do once per week. We really get into the weeds with deals and talking about like the things I'm working on and what the group's working on, and we just help each other solve the problems they're facing. And I give you that for free too. On the end, that's on the annual plan. So if you go with
Yes.
the annual, you get that bundle. If you
Yes.
go with the monthly, you get 20% off your first month.
Yep. And that's with code DAMG5. Somebody asked, do you only get grandfathered in with the yearly subscription, or does that come with the monthly as well?
That's only part of the annual plan.
There you go. All righty, guys, we're going to call it. I'm going to
Yes.
sense and go. It's now dark over there.
I know. I didn't realize how dark it is in here. Jeez.
Uh, all righty, my friend. Thank you for spending this time with us and always giving to our community. I appreciate you and I see your hard work, and I love spending this time with you. It's really fun.
That was awesome too. Thanks so much, Emily. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Let us know if you have any questions. You can email support at teamprivy.com, and you can ask questions of the staff. And then also just know that like once you're registered, you can come to any of the trainings for free. All
Heck.
right.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see
Bye
you
everyone.
next Wednesday, same place, same time. Bye.